today we're going behind the scenes of a wedding, and I'm going to show you how I shoot the details. Now, I'm actually going to be making an online course this year about this particular subject. If you want to be added to the wait list, please join the link below in the description box. It will add you to my email list, which will put you on the wait list for this course to come out. I like to shoot the details with a macro lens as well as a 50mm, and the reason is because there are certain angles and certain shots that I'm going to want to get with a little bit different perspective. So of course I'm going to do the ring shot with a macro, and sometimes I'll go in a little bit close with the flowers. Like if you have a spray bottle, you can spray them and it's got the little drops on it, and you can do that and it'll be beautiful. The bride will love it. But as far as the other details like the dress and things like that, or the venue, I just use my regular 50mm lens. When dealing with my macro lens and the ring shot, if I want to go up to something like f/22, then many times I have to have additional light, and that's when my Godox AD200 comes into play. And so sometimes you'll see me use that in the details as well. I love shooting details. It reminds me of when I used to do still lifes when I was in high school and we would draw still lifes, or even in art college. I used to love drawing still lifes, and so for me it kind of brings me back to that. I love arranging things and making them all pretty or symmetrical or asymmetrical. I don't know. It just gives me time to be artistic and have fun with stuff on the wedding day. Your details need to match the rest of the wedding and the wedding album. So for this particular one, I chose this stone walkway that was in the shade, but also outside of the working area of everyone else. So I would not be in the way, and I would be left to myself to just kind of make this arrangement. You'll see later that I do the dress inside of the room where the bride is getting dressed. But the room was so small, and it's hard for me to work with this type of thing. Like, I'm perfectly fine working in tight conditions, but this type of thing, I need to be able to think. So being in that room just was not going to work for me. So I brought it outside, and I'm glad I did, because I found this beautiful stone area. Now, I have ordered a backdrop that I will be experimenting with to see if it will match some of the weddings that I'm doing. It's like a white concrete, and I might start bringing that, and I will definitely do a video on that soon. As you see, I bring a step stool, and I do this so that I can get that bird's eye view look. I'm not going to bring a specialized tripod or any of that to get the shot down. I just don't have a lot of time, so I make do with what I have. What I like to do is use the grid function on the camera. So I don't know if your camera has it, but all of my Nikons have it, where you can turn on a grid function and then you can see where your lines are. So if you're doing something like this over a wooden floor, then you can line it up with the lines. My camera has a little tilt screen, so I can tilt the screen back and look at what I'm doing, so I don't have to lean over as far. I generally like to get a couple of the bird's eye view shots in different apertures. So I'll go from say 1.4 to f8. So as you can see, I'm starting out with my 50mm lens here. I also do it from different distances so I can get all of the items in the scene, going down to just a couple. And then I will come down and I will focus on specific items from side angles to sort of focus in on, you know, one item and kind of blur the rest out with a wider aperture. So you see I have our perfume and the rings, the invitation, just really pretty layout. I absolutely love it. I love how I have the brick coming into it, as you see, kind of flowing in. And so you'll see when I started to arrange it, I actually moved from, it was over, I had started over here and then moved them over here to create that line work that I wanted done. These are at f3.2, the ones that I decided to keep. And here's a little bit closer shot. and a teeny bit further away. And then you'll see where I went and started doing the side shots. This was also with the 50mm, and I just love, it's just the same layout, but I just went through and did some side shots. See how this is coming in and pointing to the ring sort of, and everything's got that flow to it. That's really important. As you can see here, I've switched my lens out from my 50mm, and I am now using my 105 to get the ring shots on the flowers. Here's where I switched to the 105 and I put the ring on the beautiful bouquet. And this is the one that I ended up liking the most. We are at f9 ISO 1000. I could have brought this down a little bit. Let's see, 800th of a second. No idea why I did that, but sometimes things happen. Now with the 105, I do shake a little bit. 200th of a second, 300th of a second would be good. 900th of a second, I don't know why I would have done that, but either way, the picture still came out beautiful. A little bit more in focus as I backed up here. Now, when I'm talking about matching, so when you look at the rest of the wedding, like let's look at one of her. So I had the dress there, and then I had her in front of the window so that the dress detail matches her wearing the dress. And then when we look at her, she's, you know, already dressed and outside. You have that stone detail down here, just like I had for the detail. So you can imagine the spread in an album if we were going to make it, which I did make an album for them. And as you can see, that stone detail is here, so it matches very well on that. A lot of the detail shots, but then also even when we get to their formals of the couple alone, see how that is going to match very, very well, and this with the green here in the background up here. But what I wanted to show you was these right here. So in front of that stone wall, and how beautiful that matches. And the perfume bottle, if you look here, matches the purple in the trees. So that's what I'm saying, but you want to try and match everything together as much as you can so that the album, when you design the inside, will flow. And even if they didn't purchase an album with their package, you could design the inside of an album, and that might inspire them to actually buy one. Here is a behind the scenes on me getting the dress shot, which I told you I put in the dressing room. And basically, you know, you have to get it up there. I didn't get any footage of me putting the dress up, but you know, you have to get everything perfect or there's no point in even having a dress shot. So I did spend a lot of time doing that, but the door was closed and I had the camera outside. And of course I utilized my stool for this as well, because I want to make sure that I get the perfect shot at the perfect angle, meaning straight up and down with the curtains or the rod. I don't like things being off or crooked in any kind of way on the detail shots. They are artistic and I can do stuff from side views, but I always like to get that basic, right, perfectly centered shot as well. So here is the dress shot that I came away with that matches things pretty good. On this wedding, you can see that I am utilizing a white table as a backdrop. It is in the shade outside, just like the last one. I actually attempted to do this similar shot inside on burlap, but there was not that much light, and I just felt like I just wasn't feeling good about it. So I said, you know what, maybe I'll walk outside and see if there's something outside that I like better. So I did. For this setup, I am also using my 50 millimeter. This is the 50 millimeter 1.4. This is before I got the 1.8, I think. And it is attached to the converter since I am using the Nikon Z mirrorless series. If you were having a more dramatic wedding, then you could have more dramatic light coming in. If you know you're going to be shooting the people in a more dramatic way, then you would want the details to the imagery. Of course, the details to match the wedding because they picked them out, but you would want the imagery to match it as well to go into your albums. Now, I wanted to show you guys something, a difference. Now, my second did this on a mirror inside of the barn, and this is absolutely gorgeous. I'm in love with them. However, they did not really match the wedding, which is why I wanted to take them outside and do something a little bit different because this was so much more dramatic, and the wedding was very Western, very down home. So I did these in a separate location, but then I took the items outside, as you saw, on that white table, and I felt like this just matched the whole atmosphere of the wedding so much better. Now, I did include those shots in with their images, and ironically, they did not choose these for their album, and I think it might be because they didn't match, because if you look, it's really a barn rustic type of interior, so it's always really important to, even though we can do something, it doesn't mean that we should do something. And my second did a wonderful job with those pictures. I am certainly not putting him down in any way. Imagine if I could not have gotten the shots that I got, they would still have beautiful images for their wedding. But I did want to bring up the difference between that beautiful upscale look, which he does a lot more upscale type ballroom weddings, whereas I do a lot more down home Western weddings. And I think that's why he's trained to think the way that he is, and I'm kind of trained to think the way that I am. You see, it's just a very light and airy type of look to this wedding. It's not heavy, it's not overly dramatic. So I think it was really important to do it the way that I did it. Yeah, so when we look at the ceremony, it's natural background, no fancy lights, no spotlights, nothing like that. So I just really felt like this was going to go much better. What a beautiful down-to-earth wedding. This is just a tiny bit of information. I will be making an online course, as I've said, about wedding details, just wedding details, and I go through in depth a lot of stuff. I've already started working on the course. So you guys, if you found this helpful, then you might want to check that out. Mom loved the setup so much that she came out with her cell phone to get the same shot, and then I told her about how I was getting the shot, and then also about my classes that I do in person in this area. And she will probably be scheduling one of those with me sometime this year. Thanks so much for watching today, guys. If you enjoyed this video or if you got something out of it, please subscribe. And if you have any comments, put them in the box below. I'd love to hear your feedback.